and welcome to DiceTillDawn. And sorry again for a long hiatus of videos. It's been summer has been crazy. I've been at work a lot and seen all my family a lot, but I'm back, I guess, and I have been playing games, so I have a lot of new videos that I can do in the coming months, hopefully, when I have the time. So today I'll start with a nice quick filler part type of game that I've now played a lot during the summer, and that is Bang the Dice game. And this has been a total favorite of this summer. I've played like 20 games in 2 weeks with my cousins and my family and all of different sort of groups, and we managed to play a lot of games with a lot of players in this. But first, this is basically a short Dice Fest social deduction type of party game where the theme is that you are a Wild West sheriff and outlaws and renegades and deputies, and you try to kick the other teams out and stuff like that. But first I'll show you how the game plays and then come back for my final thoughts. Okay, so here are the components of the game, everything that comes in the box, and a rules booklet which is very thin and nice and no problems here. You actually even get a clarification of all of the different characters, so no problems, and a good rule book for pretty easy rules anyway. And then there are rules reference cards which tell you what different die phases mean. You don't need this after a few games, but it's good for a start player or first time player to check out what this means. And then there are 16 characters with all different special abilities and a different amount of health in the beginning. Then there are bullets, which are basically your life points. And there are Indian arrows, 9 of them. They are always at the center of the table, and I'll explain them more shortly. Then there are the roles. So there is 1 sheriff, 2 deputy cards, 2 renegades, and 3 outlaws. And depending on the number of players, you deal out secretly a different number of them. And then there are very nice big dice with engraved like symbols and very high quality, and they feel great to roll around. So the goal of the game is, let's say we are playing an 8-player game. I will shuffle all these rolls and deal them face down to the players, and only the sheriff reveals the card, and it gets actually 2 more hit points than the roll card would give them, and all the other players are secret and no one knows who they are, not the sheriff or anything. But the goal of the sheriff and the deputies, they are a team. They want to kill all the renegades and outlaws. So the deputies will usually help keep sheriff alive and try kill the others. While the outlaws' only goal is to kill the sheriff and the deputies, so they win. If the sheriff dies, they win, or if all of them are dead, they also win, of course. And the renegades are the interesting faction, I guess. They only win if they are the only player alive of all the other players. So in the beginning they usually play like a deputy and try maybe healing the sheriff and keeping him alive and killing the others, and then in the end they can try to backstab the deputies and the sheriff and try to stay alive. It's very hard, but if you make it, it's a cool feeling. So those are the rolls, and during a turn, the only thing you do is you roll the dice Yahtzee style up to 3 times. So let's do a sample roll here. So let's go through the different symbols here. The dynamite you can't re-roll. It's just does nothing, but you can't re-roll it. But if you roll 3 of them, they explode and you lose 1 life point and your turn ends. Then there's the Gatling gun. Doesn't do anything if you roll 1 or 2 of them. You can't re-roll them if you want. But if you roll 3 of them in your roll, you actually activate the Gatling gun and you get to shoot every other player for 1 point of damage, and you also get to discard all the arrows you have in front of you if you have gotten them. Then there's the 1, which means that you can shoot the person on your left or on your right. And there's beer, which can heal you or another player for 1 hit point, but you can't go over the maximum hit point, so you can't heal over the starting hit point value. Then there's missing the 2, which means that you can now shoot at a guy or girl that's 2 spaces away to the left or right. Only 2 spaces, so you can't shoot the one on your left or right, only exactly 2 spaces away. And then there's the arrow left. And this does nothing except each time you roll this, you immediately take an arrow from the center in front of you. So you might actually roll, let's say, this was my first roll, I would take the arrow immediately, and then I could re-roll, let's say, these again. And if there was an arrow, I would get more arrows for each roll, but actually there was now a dynamite, so my turn would be over, I would lose a life point, but I would get to use this. Anyway, so this is basically Yahtzee style. You can stop at any time, but the arrows are the only thing that actually happen immediately. And also, if the arrow you take from the center is the last arrow and the center of the table, the Indians attack, and every player loses 1 life point for each arrow they have. So this makes the game even more bloodier than usual, so people start dropping like flies pretty easily. And once you're out of the game, you reveal your identity, and that helps narrow down the possible suspects and maybe even end the game if the killed one is the sheriff or the last of the outlaws and renegades or stuff like that. So that's the game basics of the game in a nutshell. Okay, so that was a Bang the Dice game. Hope you got the basics of the game and understood how it flows. And now to my opinions, I kind of gave them away in the beginning, but I just really love this game. I've now played almost 30 games of it. I've only played it like 8 times or so before this summer, and I always liked it, but it was like, yeah, it's fine, it's cool, but nothing special. But I've only played it up to this summer like 5 players, and even tried it with 3 and 4, which I totally don't like recommend to try. 3 and 4 is just almost unplayable to me, but the rules are there, so it's possible. But up to the 8 players, especially the 8th player, is the magic number where you have 2 renegades, so there's a lot of mistrust and misdirection going on, and the game just flows in a more natural state, and the deduction becomes more important and more fun, and it's just much more interesting. And still, it doesn't get longer pretty much at all because of the arrows and the fast gameplay, so it's still 20-25 minutes with 8 players, which is just cool. So if you like a quick party type of game you want to play over and over again, we played it like 5 hours in a row at one group we just had a lot of people on, and always some of the players were changing, but everyone almost wanted to play more because it's just so fun, especially at the 8 players. The 8 players, I think, is by far the best number. It is cool with 5, 6 and 7, no, don't get me wrong, but the 8 players and the 2 renegades is where the game is at its best. So highly recommend. You can actually play this with smaller kids also. We had some kids are down to 6 years of age, and they were playing alone and having fun and shouting and screaming and poking me with the box and saying that let's play again, let's play, and it's just cool to see the spark in their eyes when they see the game that they totally fall in love with. And so for families, for gatherings, for big groups, always a hit and a quick blast of Bang the Dice game. Highly recommended. See you next time.